Welcome to our deep dive today.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking about creative leadership.
Sounds fun.
It's not just for CEOs or managers, right?
Right.
Whether you're leading a team, a project, even your own creative endeavors, like understanding this stuff can really change the game.
It really can. When you think about creative leadership,
Yeah.
you might picture brainstorming sessions and those aha moments, but it's really so much deeper than that.
Okay.
It's about cultivating a specific environment where innovation and get this happiness become driving forces for success.
Okay, so the discipline of happiness. That sounds interesting, but what does that actually mean?
So think about companies like Google or Pixar, known for their innovative cultures.
Right.
They understand that it's not just about beanbag chairs and ping pong tables, although those can help.
Right.
It's about consciously creating a workplace where people feel supported, safe to take risks, and empowered to bring their best selves to work.
Yeah.
And that's what fuels genuine happiness. And in turn, unlocks some serious creative potential.
So it's not just about being a boss.
Right.
It's about being a leader who inspires and empowers.
Exactly.
Like a conductor guiding an orchestra.
A perfect analogy.
Yeah.
And there are certain qualities
Okay.
that these creative leaders seem to possess. They're visionaries, always looking ahead, spotting opportunities that others might miss.
Okay.
Take someone like Elon Musk.
Sure.
Love him or hate him.
Right.
He's a master at identifying future trends and then relentlessly pursuing them.
He definitely brings a unique energy to the room.
He does.
Yeah, that's for sure. But it's not just about big personalities, is it?
It's not.
It's about fostering the right environment for the whole team to thrive.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Creative leaders empower their teams. They trust them to experiment, to take ownership, and even learn from those inevitable stumbles along the way. Think back to the early days of Apple.
Okay.
Steve Jobs was famously demanding.
Right.
But he also gave his team incredible freedom to explore and innovate.
And that trust and freedom probably led to some of those groundbreaking products we all use today.
It's a key part of the equation.
Yeah.
These leaders also understand the power of adapting to change.
Okay.
It's not about resisting the unexpected.
Right.
It's about embracing it, almost like a dance move.
So I'm picturing some CEOs out there practicing their tango moves as we speak.
I love that visual.
But seriously, how do these leaders handle change so effectively?
Yeah.
Because it feels like most people I know just get stressed and dig in their heels.
There's a fascinating link between how our brains work and how these creative leaders operate.
Okay.
Have you ever noticed how you get your best ideas when you're relaxed?
Oh, yeah.
Maybe taking a shower or going for a walk.
Totally.
Yeah.
That's when my mind starts making all sorts of connections.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's your default mode network kicking in. It's like your brain's daydreaming mode. And it's essential for creative thinking.
Okay.
But here's the thing.
What's that?
When we're stressed, our brains switch to the executive control network,
Okay.
which is all about focus and survival,
Got it.
not coming up with the next big idea.
So these leaders are somehow able to tap into that relaxed daydreaming state, even in the midst of chaos.
They seem to understand,
Okay.
whether consciously or not,
Yeah.
that creating space for both focused work and relaxed brainstorming is key.
That makes sense.
And that's why you see companies implementing things like idea playtime,
Idea playtime.
where teams alternate between short bursts of brainstorming and focused work.
Okay.
It's literally giving your brain space to switch between those crucial networks.
So they're not just telling people to relax.
Right.
They're creating systems and structures that actually support those brain states.
Exactly.
What other techniques are we talking about here?
Well, one that always raises eyebrows is silly idea sessions.
Silly idea sessions.
Hear me out on this one.
Okay, I'm listening.
It's all about encouraging those wild, outlandish ideas, even the ones that seem totally impractical.
Now, I know what you might be thinking.
Yeah.
Encouraging silly ideas.
Right.
Sounds like a recipe for chaos and wasted time.
Maybe.
But I'm curious, what's the thinking behind this?
It's not about actually implementing those wacky ideas.
Okay.
It's about breaking down those mental barriers we all have. Think about it. When was the last time you felt truly free to express any idea that popped into your head?
Oh, gosh.
No matter how crazy, that kind of playfulness and lack of judgment can unlock some surprisingly innovative thinking.
It's like giving yourself permission to be a kid again, right?
Exactly.
Back when every idea was possible and failure wasn't a thing.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
And it helps to create a more relaxed and fun atmosphere,
Right.
which, as we discussed,
Right.
is crucial for getting those creative juices flowing. Remember, stressed brains aren't exactly innovation powerhouses.
This is fascinating.
It is.
It's like creative leadership is a blend of science, psychology, and maybe even a bit of artistry.
I like that.
But how does all of this translate to, say, running a meeting or managing a team project?
Yeah.
Is there like a specific formula these leaders follow?
Well, there are some key principles they often incorporate.
Okay.
And they all tie back to this idea of creating the right environment for creativity to flourish. One that often gets overlooked is the power of continuous learning.
Okay.
Remember that amazing neuroplasticity of our brains we talked about?
Yeah.
It means we're constantly evolving and adapting.
It's like we're all walking, talking examples of lifelong learning, whether we realize it or not.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And smart leaders tap into that.
Okay.
They encourage things like skill swaps or lunch and learns where team members teach each other new skills.
I love that.
Yeah.
So not only does this boost everyone's knowledge base, but it also fosters a sense of collaboration and sparks new ideas.
Exactly.
It's like cross-pollinating minds.
I love that analogy.
It's like that saying, if you want to learn something, well, teach it.
Mm-hmm.
You have to really engage with the material to explain it to someone else.
Absolutely.
Plus, it helps break down those silos that can form in teams, right?
It does.
Yeah.
And it creates a culture where everyone feels valued for their unique expertise.
So it's not just about brainstorming in isolation.
Yeah.
It's about fostering a dynamic exchange of knowledge and ideas within the team.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah, and this leads to another key principle,
Okay.
managing stress.
Okay.
We live in a world that's constantly demanding our attention,
Mm-hmm.
and that takes a toll on our creativity.
It really does.
Sometimes it feels like my brain is running on fumes by the end of the day.
I hear you.
And this ties back to what we discussed about how stress hinders those creative parts of our brains.
Right.
When we're in survival mode, it's hard to think outside the box.
Yep.
So how do these creative leaders combat this?
Yeah.
Do they just tell everyone to chill out?
It's more nuanced than that.
Okay.
They understand that prioritizing well-being isn't just a perk.
Mm-hmm.
It's a necessity.
Yeah.
They encourage regular breaks, sometimes even mandatory unplug yourself periods,
Okay.
where everyone steps away from their screens for a few minutes.
And that's a great idea, especially for remote teams where it can be hard to draw those boundaries between work and personal time.
It is.
You can easily get caught in the trap of feeling like you always need to be on.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And they're not afraid to incorporate team-building activities that promote relaxation and connection,
Okay.
not just the typical trust falls and escape rooms.
So it's not about ignoring the stress.
Right.
It's about actively creating spaces for people to de-stress and recharge.
You got it.
Makes sense.
And it all contributes to another crucial element,
What's that?
psychological safety.
Psychological safety.
But think about it. Have you ever been in a meeting where you had a great idea,
Totally.
but you were hesitant to share it because you were afraid of judgment?
Oh, all the time.
Yeah.
Especially when you're surrounded by people who seem like they have all the answers.
That's exactly what creative leaders try to avoid.
Okay.
They understand that for people to truly contribute their unique perspectives,
Mm-hmm.
they need to feel safe to express themselves without fear of ridicule or being shut down.
So it's not just about being nice.
Right.
It's about creating a culture where people feel genuinely respected and heard, even if their ideas are a little out there.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And this ties into another technique they often use.
Okay.
Share the fail sessions.
Let's share the fail.
Now, this might sound counterintuitive, but hear me out.
Okay. I'm all ears. Sharing failures doesn't sound very inspiring.
It's not about dwelling on mistakes.
Okay.
It's about normalizing them as part of the creative process.
Mm-hmm.
Think back to any major innovation, whether it's the light bulb or the iPhone.
Yeah.
Do you think those inventors got it right on the first try?
Definitely not. I bet there were tons of prototypes and failed experiments along the way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And by encouraging teams to openly discuss their failures,
Mm-hmm.
you create a culture where people aren't afraid to take risks and learn from their mistakes.
So it's about turning those oops moments into valuable learning experiences.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's about shifting our mindset from seeing failure as a setback
Okay.
to seeing it as a springboard to something better.
Think of it like this. Every failure is simply data. It's
Mhm.
information that helps you refine your approach and make better decisions next time.
I love that.
And those share the fail sessions create a safe space for people to openly discuss those experiences, learn from each other, and realize that making mistakes is a normal part of the process.
Absolutely.
It takes the shame out of failure and transforms it into a valuable learning experience.
And
it builds resilience.
It does.
Yeah.
When you learn to embrace failure as part of the journey, you're less likely to be discouraged by setbacks. You develop a growth mindset, a belief that you can learn and improve even when things don't go as planned.
Which is essential in any field, but especially in those that require creativity and innovation.
Absolutely.
You're constantly pushing boundaries and experimenting, so those inevitable stumbles become part of the process.
Exactly. And that's where creative leaders excel.
Okay.
They don't just tolerate failure. They encourage it.
They encourage failure.
They understand that without the freedom to experiment and make mistakes, true innovation is nearly impossible.
And they lead by example, right?
They do.
They're not afraid to admit their own mistakes, showing vulnerability and reminding everyone that even the most successful people don't have all the answers.
It's so important.
Yeah.
That kind of authenticity and vulnerability builds trust and respect within a team, creating an environment where people feel safe to take risks and explore new possibilities.
And remember all that talk about psychological safety.
Oh, yeah.
That's where it all comes full circle.
It does.
When people feel safe, supported, and respected, they're more likely to be their authentic selves.
Yes.
Which is essential for creativity and innovation.
Exactly.
It's like they're saying, we're all in this together, we're going to make mistakes, we're going to learn, and we're going to grow together.
That's the spirit.
And it all ties back to injecting joy into the workplace.
It does.
Remember how we were talking about dopamine being a creativity supercharge?
Yeah.
Well, joy is one of the most powerful ways to trigger that dopamine release.
It's true.
Yeah.
Joy boosts our energy levels, enhances our creativity, and strengthens our connections with others.
And as we've discussed, it makes perfect sense from a neuroscientific perspective.
It does.
When we experience joy, our brains light up like a Christmas tree,
Like there's a bit.
priming us for creative thinking and problem solving.
Yeah.
So it's not just about feeling good, it's about literally optimizing our brain function for creativity and productivity.
Exactly.
I'm sold. But how do leaders actually inject this joy into their teams? Do they bring in clowns and confetti cannons?
It can be much simpler than that.
Okay.
It's about celebrating small wins, encouraging people to share their accomplishments,
Right.
and incorporating fun and engaging activities into the workday.
Mm.
Think about it. When was the last time you had a good laugh during a work meeting?
Honestly, I can't remember, but that doesn't mean it's not possible.
Right.
Maybe we've just gotten too serious and focused on getting things done.
That's a big part of it.
Yeah.
We've somehow lost sight of the fact that work can be enjoyable, even fulfilling. And creative leaders are reminding us that bringing joy back into the equation isn't just good for morale.
Right.
It's good for business.
Yeah.
But why is this all so important?
Yeah.
Especially now, why is this idea of creative leadership suddenly everywhere?
That's a great question. Is it just a fad, or is there something deeper going on here?
I think it's a response to the rapidly changing world we live in.
Okay.
Innovation is the key to success in practically every field. And that requires a different kind of leadership.
Yeah.
The old command and control style just doesn't cut it anymore.
It's like we're all navigating uncharted territory, and we need leaders who can guide us through the uncertainty with creativity and adaptability.
That's a beautiful way to put it.
And beyond that, I
Yeah.
think there's a growing awareness that the way we work has become, well, kind of soul-crushing for a lot of people.
Yeah.
There's a yearning for something more, a desire to find meaning and purpose in our work.
Absolutely.
So creative leadership isn't just about boosting the bottom line.
Right.
It's about creating a more fulfilling and meaningful work experience for everyone involved.
It's a win-win.
Yeah.
And it all starts with understanding those key principles we've been discussing.
This has been an incredible deep dive so far. I'm already starting to see how these ideas can apply not just to work, but to life in general.
It is pretty powerful stuff.
Yeah. But before we get too carried away, we need to take a quick break.
Sounds good.
As we're talking about these creative leadership techniques, I keep thinking about those unplug yourself breaks.
Yeah.
In a world where we're constantly bombarded with information,
Right.
taking 10 minutes to step away from our screens feels almost revolutionary.
It is, and that's precisely why it's so crucial.
Yeah.
Our brains aren't wired for this nonstop stimulation.
Right.
We need those moments to disconnect, let our minds wander and recharge. It's like hitting the reset button for our creativity.
It's funny, we talk about being present all the time.
Right.
But how many of us are truly present in our own lives?
Exactly.
Let alone at work.
Yeah.
We're so glued to our devices.
We are.
It's like we've forgotten how to simply be.
And that's a huge challenge, especially for remote teams.
Oh, yeah.
The lines between work and personal time can get blurry,
Totally.
making it even harder to justify stepping away.
Right.
But that's where creative leaders shine.
Okay.
They understand that true productivity comes from a balance of focused work and restorative breaks.
So it's not about working harder.
Right.
It's about working smarter.
Exactly.
And that includes prioritizing our mental and emotional well-being.
Absolutely. It's about recognizing that our minds, like any muscle, need time to rest and recover.
And those unplug yourself breaks are like mini vacations for our brains.
I love that.
Think of it as a micro-meditation, a chance to step off the treadmill of constant stimulation and come back to your work with fresh eyes and a clearer perspective.
Precisely. And those micro moments of rest can have a huge impact on your overall creativity and productivity.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised how many problems seem to solve themselves when you give your mind a chance to wander.
Another thing that really resonated with me is this idea of normalizing failure.
Yes.
We live in a culture obsessed with success,
Right.
where admitting to failure can feel like career suicide.
It can.
But haven't we all learned the most from our mistakes?
Absolutely. Failure is an essential part of growth, both personally and professionally.
Yeah.
Where we learn, where we adapt, and where we often discover those unexpected paths to success.
So those share the fail sessions we talked about earlier,
Yes.
they're not about dwelling on negativity.
They're not?
They're about reframing those experiences as opportunities for learning and growth.
Exactly. Think of it like this.
Okay.
Every failure is simply data.
Data.
It's information that helps you refine your approach and make better decisions next time.
It's about shifting our mindset from seeing failure as a setback to seeing it as a springboard to something better.
I love that. And those share the fail sessions, create a safe space for people to openly discuss those experiences,
Right.
learn from each other, and realize that making mistakes is a normal part of the process.
It takes the shame out of failure and transforms it into a valuable learning experience.
It does.
And it builds resilience.
It does. When you learn to embrace failure as part of the journey, you're less likely to be discouraged by setbacks. You develop a growth mindset, a belief that you can learn and improve even when things don't go as planned.
Which is essential in any field, but especially in those that require creativity and innovation.
Absolutely.
You're constantly pushing boundaries and experimenting, so those inevitable stumbles become part of the process.
Exactly. And that's where creative leaders excel.
Okay.
They don't just tolerate failure. They encourage it.
Okay.
They understand that without the freedom to experiment and make mistakes, true innovation is nearly impossible.
And they lead by example.
They do.
They're not afraid to admit their own mistakes,
Wow.
showing vulnerability and reminding everyone that even the most successful people don't have all the answers.
That kind of authenticity and vulnerability builds trust and respect within a team, creating an environment where people feel safe to take risks and explore new possibilities.
And remember all that talk about psychological safety? This is where it all comes full circle.
It is when people feel safe, supported, and respected, they're more likely to be their authentic selves.
Right.
Which is essential for creativity and innovation.
It's like they're saying, we're all in this together.
Yeah.
We're going to make mistakes, we're going to learn, and we're going to grow together.
That's the spirit.
And it all ties back to injecting joy into the workplace.
It does remember how we were talking about dopamine being a creativity supercharge?
Yeah.
Well, joy is one of the most powerful ways to trigger that dopamine release.
It's true. Joy boosts our energy levels.
It does.
Enhances our creativity and strengthens our connections with others.
And as we've discussed, it makes perfect sense from a neuroscientific perspective.
Right. When we experience joy, our brains light up like a Christmas tree,
I love that.
priming us for creative thinking and problem solving.
Joy is fuel for innovation.
So it's not just about feeling good.
Right.
It's about optimizing our brain function for creativity and productivity.
Exactly. And it doesn't have to be complicated.
Yes.
It could be as simple as celebrating a small win, acknowledging someone's hard work, or incorporating a fun activity into a team meeting.
Okay.
Think about it. When was the last time you had a good laugh during a work meeting?
It makes you wonder why more companies aren't embracing this approach.
I think there's still a lingering belief
Okay.
that joy and productivity are somehow mutually exclusive,
Uh-huh.
that you can't be both happy and successful at the same time.
Right.
but the science and countless examples of thriving companies tell us otherwise.
It's like that old saying, choose a job you love and you'll never have to work a day in your life.
There's wisdom in that saying.
Yeah.
Of course, not everyone can have their dream job.
Right.
But creative leaders understand that they can create an environment where work is meaningful, engaging, and yes, even joyful.
And those are the kinds of workplaces that attract and retain top talent.
They are. It's about creating a culture where people feel valued, appreciated, and inspired to do their best work.
It's about remembering that our work is a part of our lives.
Not separate from it.
Absolutely.
And that we can bring our whole selves to work.
Right.
Including our creativity, our emotions, and yes, even our joy.
I love that. But before we wrap up this deep dive into creative leadership, I think it's important to address the why now question again.
Okay, the why now.
Why is this approach to leadership so vital in our ever-evolving world? What's changed?
Well, for one thing, the pace of change has accelerated exponentially.
It has.
Think about the technological advancements we've seen in just the last few years.
I know, it's mind-boggling.
And this rapid evolution requires a different kind of leadership, one that's adaptable, innovative, and able to navigate uncertainty.
For sure.
It's like we're all on a roller coaster
that's
constantly speeding up.
Right.
And we need leaders who can help us stay on track and even enjoy the ride.
That's a great analogy. The old command and control style of leadership, where decisions were made at the top and everyone else simply followed orders, just doesn't work anymore. It's like trying to fit a square peg in a round hole.
Exactly. We need leaders who can empower their teams, encourage collaboration, and foster a culture of continuous learning and adaptation.
So it's not just about keeping up with the changes.
Right.
It's about anticipating them and even shaping them.
Exactly. Creative leaders are like surfers.
Surfers?
Constantly scanning the horizon for the next big wave and positioning themselves to ride it.
Okay.
They're not afraid to experiment, to take risks, and to learn from their mistakes.
And they inspire their teams to do the same.
They do, but it's not just about technology.
Right.
There's also a growing awareness of the human cost of the way we've been working.
Yeah. Burnout, stress, and disengagement are rampant.
They are.
And it's costing companies billions in lost productivity and talent.
You're right. There's a growing recognition that the old ways of working where people were seen as cogs in a machine are simply unsustainable.
Right.
We need a more human-centered approach, one that prioritizes well-being, creativity, and meaning. And that's where creative leadership shines.
It's about creating a work environment where people feel valued, supported, and inspired to do their best work. It's about recognizing that our greatest asset isn't our technology or our processes, but our people.
Absolutely. And when we invest in our people, we nurture their creativity and well-being, we unlock their full potential and create a ripple effect of positivity and innovation that extends far beyond the workplace.
This has been an incredibly insightful exploration of creative leadership.
It has.
I'm already starting to see how these principles can apply not just to my work, but to all aspects of my life.
That's the beauty of it. It's a philosophy, a way of being in the world that transcends any particular job, title, or industry.
Yeah.
It's about approaching life with curiosity, playfulness, and a willingness to embrace the unknown.
And about inspiring others to do the same.
Absolutely. But before we get too philosophical, we need to take another quick break.
Welcome back to our deep dive. You know, I'm feeling pretty energized after exploring all these fascinating concepts and practical techniques.
Yeah, it's really powerful stuff.
It's like we've been given this glimpse into a whole new way of working and leading, one that prioritizes innovation, well-being, and even joy.
It really is. You know, we've seen how creative leadership is about so much more than just managing tasks and achieving goals.
Right.
It's about fostering an environment where people feel valued, supported, and inspired to bring their best selves to the table.
Yeah, and it's about recognizing that we're not just, you know, brains in jars, right? We're whole human beings with emotions, experiences, and this need for connection.
We are?
It's like we've been trying to solve a complex equation using only half the variables.
That's a great way to put it. You know, creative leadership is about embracing a more holistic approach, recognizing the interconnectedness of our minds, our bodies, and our emotions.
Right. You can't expect to be creative and innovative if you're constantly stressed, exhausted, and disconnected from yourself and each other.
Exactly.
It's like trying to grow a plant in a dark closet.
Right.
It might survive, but it's not going to thrive.
Exactly.
Creative leadership is about creating the optimal conditions for growth, both for individuals and for teams.
Okay.
It's about providing the right kind of light, nourishment, and space for those creative seeds to blossom.
And it's about recognizing that our greatest asset isn't our technology or processes,
Right.
or even our brilliant ideas, but our people.
Our people, they're the roots that sustain everything else.
So what does all of this mean for you, our listener?
Yeah.
Whether you're leading a team, a project, or just navigating your own creative journey, I think there's some key takeaways from today's deep dive.
Absolutely. First and foremost, remember that creative leadership isn't a destination.
Okay.
It's a journey.
A journey.
It's about embracing continuous learning, experimentation, and adaptation.
So it's about celebrating those aha moments.
Yes.
Learning from the inevitable stumbles, and always seeking out new perspectives and possibilities. It's about cultivating a mindset of curiosity, playfulness, and a willingness to step outside your comfort zone.
So you're saying it's about giving yourself permission to daydream,
Yes.
to ask what-if questions, and to see the world through a lens of wonder and possibility.
I love that. And it's about fostering a culture of support, respect, and psychological safety,
Okay.
both for yourself and for those around you.
Right.
Remember, creativity thrives in environments where people feel safe to express their ideas, take risks, and learn from each other.
We've explored some practical exercises that can help you cultivate these qualities, from idea playtime and silly idea sessions to unplug yourself breaks and share the fail sessions.
Those are some good ones.
Remember, even small changes can make a big difference.
They can.
It's about taking those first steps and seeing where they lead you.
As you embark on this journey of creative leadership, I want to leave you with this final thought.
Okay, I'm listening.
Imagine a world where every workplace, every team, and every individual embraces these principles.
Wow.
What would that world look like?
Yeah. What kind of innovations, solutions, and breakthroughs might emerge?
That's a powerful image. A world where creativity, collaboration, and joy are the driving forces behind everything we do.
It's a world worth striving for.
It is. And remember, the power to create that world lies within each of us. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the fascinating world of creative leadership.
It's been a pleasure.
We hope you've gained some valuable insights and inspiration to take with you on your own journey. Until next time, keep exploring, keep creating, and keep embracing the power of joy.